Hello everyone, my name is John Bussard. I'm an HPE Business Transformation Center engineer for Ingram Micro. I help support HPE servers, blade system storage, as well as Aruba networking technology solutions. In my videos, what I like to do is show you a slide from a popular PowerPoint and then demonstrate to you what that means within a management context. Today, we're going to be continuing on our discussion with the HPE's GreenLake Cloud Consoles, and in particular, we're going to be looking at Aruba Central. So Aruba Central is a way of being able to manage on-prem networking equipment from within the cloud. So things like switches, wireless access points, and things of that nature we can manage from within the cloud. Now Aruba Central used to exist as a separate entity from within GreenLake, but they've brought it under the fold so we can have comprehensive management across stack within that environment. So certainly Aruba Central is pretty comprehensive. I'm probably going to plan a few videos wrapped around this solution. This video today is really going to deal with basic navigation or basic management, as well as some of the information you can collect from within this environment or reporting. So with all that being said, let's explore this management context. Okay, here I am up within the GreenLake platform. So GreenLake is a way of managing on-prem hardware from within the cloud, and that management from within the cloud can be around cost, so pay for what you utilize on a monthly basis, and those tiles are found within GreenLake Central if you choose to adopt that methodology in your environment. But that's one aspect of managing your environment from the cloud. There's also the day-to-day maintenance. So compute ops management allows us to manage per-line servers. Data services cloud console allows us to manage on-prem per-line storage solutions. And today, Aruba Central, which we're going to be exploring, is going to allow us to manage on-prem wireless equipment. Now, this isn't an all or nothing type of situation. You can certainly pick and choose what you want to utilize as a part of your infrastructure. All right, so we're within Aruba Central, but we could get back to that menu by just clicking GreenLake above here, or we could jump to different solutions over here. So you could see things like the Data Services Cloud Console, Compute Ops Management, as well as Aruba Central over here. So one of the things I'd like you to focus in on as we work through this management context is this section right over here. Based on what we have selected over here, our options underneath this column are going to change. And based on what we have selected here, our tabs are going to change as well as some options we have over here. Right, so you want to pay attention. So what could this be, or what could I select in here? So certainly individual devices could be over here, but I also have a variety of other ways that I can slice and dice information. So if I select the down arrow here, you can see I could do it by group. So groups tend to be a configuration context, I would say. So for example, if I wanted to create a wireless network that would span across all remote access points I'd have in this environment, I might do that at a group level. But if I needed to change something at a particular site, I might do that at a device level. All right, so there's groups. There's also sites, and sites is just the way it sounds. Or those are different branch offices or locations you may have within your environment. And then finally, there's labels. And labels can really be whatever you want them to be. You could create maybe a label that would group together all remote access points, for example. In my case, I have my Ingram Micro Williamsville office broken down into devices that are in the classroom, devices that are in our data center, devices that are in the seating area, the desk area. And then my remote site, I have all the access points within our remote AP over here. So again, labels could be whatever you want. But based on what you have selected over here, it'll change what you see in this column. Based on what you have chosen in this column, your tabs will change. So right now, we're at a global context and we're looking at an overview. And we can see our environment here. We can see one of our sites, our remote site. So again, if I look over here, we see the remote site. All right, that's doing pretty good. Right, but we have my Ingram Micro Williamsville site has some issues that are having here, and that's abbreviated a little bit, but that would be this site up here. All right, so let's find out what's going on. If I click here, you'll see that we integrate with the Aruba User Experience Insight Sensor. So that's why I did that video first. So again, we can see we are having issues with the captive portal. So again, this could exist, or this solution can be bought as a separate entity. But again, if we buy that and we incorporate it or integrate it in with Aruba Central, this information will feed up into Aruba Central, and we'll see that information pop up in a few different places. For example, if I click on floor plan over here, right, we're going to get the floor plan for the Ingram Micro Williamsville site, and we could still see that we got this little exclamation point here letting us know that we have some issues at this site. And here we can see our floor plan. Right, I'm going to click on our floor plan. And we could see that we are getting a heat map of the devices. And actually, if I zoom in a little bit closer, these little black dots are actual devices that are located within this environment. But I could quickly go in and get this type of information. We could move over a tab. We could say topology. And we can see our devices are interconnected. Now, these devices here are not connected through a switch that I'm managing in this environment, but certainly these devices certainly do go through a switch I have managed up here. But I have that ability to be able to dig in and see that type of information. So why don't we go back up into the global context. Right, and again, we're back under overview. So we quickly were able to dig in and get that type of information. So let's go over to the summary tab here, and let's look at the type of information we see here. So I can see network usage and clients on my wireless network as well. If I scroll down a little bit, I can see bandwidth usage per network, again, per wireless LAN. I can select individual ones if I wanted to, or look at them holistically if I felt like it. Over here, we can look at client count per network. Again, I could do the same thing if I wanted to look at individual wireless networks, so look at them holistically. If I scroll down a little bit further, we can see my top access points by usage. Here we'll select this access point. Now if you notice, this changed from global to this individual access point, and my options have changed down below, and we're at an overview for this access point, but I get some pretty good information on this access point within our environment. Right, health status and stuff like that, as well as the wireless LANs that are being configured. Right, you could look at the floor plan, figure out where this access points exist within the world. We could look at performance. A lot of great metrics over here. And we could look at RF. Yeah, and you could also look at the clients that are connected to this access point as well. So very quickly, we're able to dig in and get information. Now, if you notice, I clicked the back button over here, and it brought me into global, but under devices. So this is all the devices within our environment. All right, so we'll come back to this. I'm going to go back up to overview, and we are under summary. If I scroll down, what I've done is clicked on one of these top access points. Right, I could also look at top clients by usage. Right, this happens to be that user experience insight sensor, so we're going to take a look at that. So I can actually click on that. So not only they can be network devices, but they can be individual users within my infrastructure. And now with this user, I can tell what SSID they're connecting to, what access point that SSE is being broadcast off of, and the switch that they're going through. And this 4 is actually the port the information is flowing through. If I scroll down, I can see how this device is connected. So it looks kind of interesting with the connectivity. That's basically because this device connects and disconnects from this network in order to be able to test it, and that becomes more prevalent if I expand this out to maybe a week or something like that. And we'll scroll down again, and we can see how this device is connecting and disconnecting within this environment. Right? But again, I get information about this client. I can find this client's location within our floor plan. We could actually look at this client's profile as well. Then we could go down and we could look at the application that this client is using. Right, so maybe I'm interested in something like Facebook. See their Facebook usage within this environment, so maybe that's concerning. I might want to look into that deeper across platform. Right, but before I do that, right, I'm looking at things based on a list, but I could also look at things based on a summary. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click back up here, and we're under global again, and now we're going to be looking at all the clients inside this environment. Again, I could dig into any one of these clients to get more information. All right, I could also look at client profiles. All right, but you can see down here I still have an applications menu. So I select on that application menu. Right, and again, I'm looking globally. Right now I see the applications that everybody's using within this environment. So maybe I'm interested in Facebook again. Right, there it is. We could expand it on out and see how everybody's utilizing this resource in our environment. All right, so that's a quick way that we use to be able to get in, be able to dig in and get information just by selecting the one client within this environment, 2 top clients. All right, so some other things that we'll see up here that are of interest. There's Wi-Fi connectivity. I think I'm going to use this section to bring us into a conversation about AI insights. So certainly AI insights, I'm going to click on this tab, is a way of being able to understand things that are happening within our network, but by using artificial intelligence to be able to understand different metrics within this environment. All right, so if I go back over to Wi-Fi connectivity, you can certainly see that we're having mostly successes, but we're kind of in a cautionary section, and we could see these. So this is context aware to my Wi-Fi connectivity. I'm only seeing the AI insights related to that. All right, and we could scroll down and get a little bit more information on the delays as well as the failures. All right, and again, if I click on DHCP server, it brings me over to AI insights. It expanded out. Clients had significant number of DHCP server connection problems. Right, and I can get more information related to that. The days in which they had issues. Right, the clients that were impacted, so I could select this. You see the clients impacted. You can see some of them didn't even make a full connection. We can go back. We can see the access points that they were trying to connect to. Right, so a lot of great information that we could digest real quickly by just looking around within this environment. And we're just even on the overview, right? But it's quickly allowed us to be able to dig into other places within this environment. Right, so again, we're still at the global perspective. Let's go look at devices. We were here a little bit ago, but these are the different access points I have within my environment. Again, I can click on those and dig into those and get more information. We could also look at the switches I have within our environment. Let's have this one switch here, as well as the gateways, and I'm using some gateways in a micro branch style configuration in our environment. Those are there. Right, so I have the ability to look at those. We already talked about clients. You can see all the clients that are connected in our environment. Guest is pretty interesting. These are the guest splash pages I can configure, so we'll talk more about those when we go into the wireless configuration in a little bit more detail. But if I click on this, you can see we can get a pretty decent splash page configured within this environment. A lot of robust content that we can get. We could also look at presence analytics. There's not a lot to view from this. I guess there's a little bit of information, but it's a better view if we look at summary. And sometimes retail is interested in this. So we see the passers-by who didn't even connect it into our environment, as well as the active visitors that did connect an environment. And we can get visitor frequency and visitor status. So a lot of great information that we could collect from within these contexts. Let's go down to analyze. We could look at alerts and events. Right, so there's certainly been some alerts that I have acknowledged within our environment. We could look at events as well. We could look at audit trail, who's done what inside this interface. We've got individual tools. Right, so things like maybe I want to get a console connection into a switch. I'll select the switch here. And their username and password will create the session. And you can see that we have connected into the environment. I could use something like a show run. So I can get actual access to the switch through console if I wanted to. Reports is a handy piece. So I can create different reports from within our environment. So we could browse the reports requests or manage them. But why don't we take a look at the create button? So these are the different reports I can create. So there's a pretty comprehensive list of different reports I can create. And one of the nice things that I like about this is I can preview each one of these reports if I wanted to. Right. and see what type of information. And these reports could be created in a PDF file, a CVS file. They could be emailed if you wanted to. But there's a variety of different reports that we could look at. All right, AppRF over here is really looking at the different applications that have been utilized in the environment. So let's create a report based on that. All right, I'll click Next. Now I get to select the groups that I want to utilize, so I don't have to do on everything globally if I wanted to. I could, right? But maybe I just want to do it on the devices that are in the Business Transformation Center. I can click Next. Now, how long do I want my report period to be? Maybe last 7 days or something like that. And then, what's my report title? Who I want this report emailed to? Right, things like that. Now, if you notice, if I go back, right, I could select a custom range if I felt like it. Right, there's a variety of things that I can do as far as managing that. All right, and maybe we'll do, let's see, every week. Choose when we want this to run, and we could generate this. Right, and again, I want to email this to somebody. I could choose a PDF file or CSV format. App Catalog are different applications that can plug into this environment. I'm using ClearPass Device Insights to give you a greater detail on the devices that are connecting inside my environment. We can certainly do firmware updates from within the cloud. So something like, for example, if we wanted to update the switch firmware, we could certainly do that. Or we could set compliance if we felt like it, upgrade all if we wanted to. And then finally, we've got organization. All right, so again, how do we create these different entities over here? That's done here. So certainly we could select groups and create individual groups. So the groups are generally, like I said, configuration context. If I wanted to go create a group, I could certainly do that from this context, and I could choose what type of devices that I want to manage within this group. Some people like to put everything in one group. Some people like to have separate groups for separate devices. That's certainly something you can do. And then to move devices around, so things will come up in maybe an unprovisioned state if they're brand new. But if I wanted to move something like this switch somewhere, I would select it, and then I would select where I'd want to move it to. Let's go back. All right, sites. So if I want to look at creating a new site, I could do that as well. We just click Create a New Site. Give it a site name, street address. Again, this will plot this on that global map that I showed you before. And then once we have a new site, all we have to really do is take our devices and kind of drop them into what site that they're on. And finally, labels. Like I had mentioned, labels can be anything you want them to be. They're just labels. It's just a different way of collecting resource information. So again, it's just the name. And once again, you just take things and drop them into the label that you want them to be associated with. All right, so that's basic navigation and the type of information you could pull out of Aruba Central. Again, this will be the first video. I'm going to do some more on wireless configuration as well as switch-based configuration. But I hope you got a lot out of this video, and stay tuned for more videos.